This episode of the Miscast podcast is sponsored by Orange Amps and the brand new Brent Hines Signature 15-watt Turret amp. Orange teamed up with Brent Hines from Mastodon to create a new amp featuring an all-new gain structure, making it a completely unique Turret model. The 15-watt amp is perfect for the bedroom with a 7 1.5 watt mode, but it's still perfect for hitting the stage with. The all-new 3-stage gain structure means that it's brighter at the lower gain levels and it fattens up as you dial in more gain. The natural channel has also been redesigned to have more bottom end while still retaining the balance and playability of the Rocker series. This amp can do everything from rich cleans to brutal drop-tuned riffs. If you're a fan of Mastodon, or even if you're not, this is definitely an amp you need to check out. But if you want a more traditional British valve amp, Orange have you covered too with the all-new Rocker 15 Turret with a finely balanced natural channel which is a perfect platform for pedals and a more familiar dirty channel. This is a Rocker's dream amp. And you're also going to need a cab to run these amps through, so why not check out the all-new vertical 2x12 from Orange. In fact, it's the first one they've ever done. Similar to their regular industry standard cabs, this 2x12 is made from birch plywood and is fitted with Celestian Neo cream backs. The perfect cab to go with your new Orange amps, or any amp for that matter. If you want to see these reviewed, head on over to my YouTube channel because I will be doing a review of these very, very soon. youtube.com/c/Doodles music. And to get more info and to find your local Orange dealer, head to orangeamps.com. That's orangeamps.com.
The following podcast is a Miscast production. From the northeast of England and Moscow, Russia, Doodles and Dan present the Miscast podcast.
Alright everybody, welcome to the Miscast podcast. I'm your host Doodles. Now today's episode is going to be the second half of the conversation me and my co-host Daniel Leonov had about Winter NAMM 2018. And when we sat down, we hoped to get an hour-long conversation. We expected to get a 30-45 minute conversation, and we went over 2 hours. So we decided to split it into two podcasts. And then episode 2, the previous episode of this one, was the first half of the conversation. If you haven't heard it, make sure you go and check that out first, because this conversation is going to start part way through. So if you haven't heard it, it might be a little bit confusing. But this is the second half. It's about an hour long, give or take, and we're going to talk about the rest of the stuff for doing NAMM, and then we're going to talk about the Axe FX3, which was announced the day after NAMM, and also the news that the group that owned BC Rich, Hands of Music Group, may be shutting down this month, which is huge news. Still trying to confirm these details, but we do touch upon it in the podcast. So if you haven't heard episode 2, go and check that out, then come back and listen to this episode, and then listen to the conclusion of our conversation about NAMM. We had a lot of fun recording this podcast, and we really hope you guys have just as much fun listening to it. We're going to keep this open, nice and brief. Not going to talk too much longer because the podcast is about an hour long, so we want to get straight into that one, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it. We also talk about some of the guests that we've got coming up and some of the future episode plans. We've got a lot of stuff planned, and we really can't wait for you guys to hear them. Right, so here it is. This is part 2 of my conversation with Dan, where we talk about Winter NAMM 2018. Not going to waste any more time. Let's get straight into this thing. But speaking of things that I am going to hopefully be reviewing soon, this is something I am going to be reviewing soon. I put it on Twitter earlier, so we'll talk about these scenes, or these were at NAMM too, and that is the new Orange amps. The Brent Hines from Mastodon signature amp. The Rocker 15, which is more like a traditional EL34, I believe, more like a Marshall E type of rock amp. And the Crush Mini were all released shortly before NAMM and were all showcased at NAMM. Brent Hines has a signature model, which looks sweet. It's a Turret. It's a Turret amp, looks sweet, as 15 watts. And I'm going to be getting them on the channel, and they are actually sponsoring this episode.
Oh, that would be great.
Not financially, but they are sponsoring the episode. I did say that we put them down as the sponsor, because they are obviously helping the channel out. They are helping us out by sending us the gear to review. So I said they're going to sponsor this episode for us, and they said yes, we would love to. So yes, that'll be at the start of the podcast. They will mention that their Orange Amps is the sponsor of the episode, so we're going to talk about them again. And they have the new Brent Hines signature model, which has been teased for about 7 months now, 6-7 months, and it is finally here, and it is absolutely sweet as.
Yeah, and the dude is famous for his metal tones.
It's like the next evolution of, like, you had like your Jim Root Turret was like a big thing a few years ago, and obviously this is like the next big Orange amp, the big artist amp.
Yeah, I have to check them out too. I have like 2 or 3 of them in the studio, and they rarely get used, but I've
had very minimal experience with Orange before, but I know a lot of people that do dig them, including Aaron, my good friend Aaron, from the band Bittersweet Blasphemy, who will be on the podcast in the very near future. He is a die-hard Orange fan. He loves his Orange amps. I think that's all he's got. I think he's got 4 Orange amps, and he's got a Vox amp as well. But yeah, he proper loves Orange. So he's got one of these on order already. They've only just been released, and he's got one on order. The Brent Hines signature.
Oh, I'm kind of just looking through the pictures. I've seen a couple of amps. I'm just remember and played a couple of those on some rehearsal spaces.
But yeah, the Brent Hines signature, it's got two EL34s in it, 15 watt, it goes down to 7, 1 or half a watt, which is sweet, as it's got an effects loop and all that stuff as well. And yeah, it looks like a pretty badass amp, and I cannot wait to check it out. It should be a lot of fun.
Do they come with all this MIDI control stuff?
I don't believe
they, or
I don't believe they do. They've just got the effects loop. But
Okay.
yeah, but in terms of sound quality, if you look at some demos, then Pete Controls did a demo of them, Dave Simpson did a demo of them, they are absolutely sweet as these new orange amps.
It should be good.
Amazing.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, and yeah, literally they just hit me up and said, "Do you want to check these out?"
Oh,
damn right.
Yeah, great.
Damn right, because I when I saw these amps, I was like, oh man, I'd love to get hold of one of those Brent Hines amps. That looks gorgeous. It sounds mint. And yeah, hit us up. Do you want to check it out? Fucking right, I do. Damn right, I want to check that amp out, my friend. And yeah, they're sponsoring this episode of the podcast too. Our first official sponsor of the Miscast podcast is Orange Amps. So yes, there'll be a little message at the start and end of the podcast, and also there'll be a little message now, since we're talking about them. Go and check them out. Go and check out our Brent Hines tour. Go and check out Pete Controls and Dave Simpson's videos of them, because they absolutely nailed it. And yeah, go and buy one, because they're sweet. There's your sponsorship message for this week, my friend.
Oh yeah.
But since we're talking about, I just want to quickly mention them because they're actually on my NAMM highlights list that I've got in front of me. So I thought we'd mention them, and I thought I'd mention that they're sponsor of the podcast. I don't think I didn't tell you they're sponsor of the podcast, because they literally just told me while we were filming this podcast. I read the email.
Oh, great.
That said, yes, we want to sponsor the episode of the podcast. So I thought I'd share the news there. So obviously the people listening at home, they know that already. You didn't at the time. But seeing as we're talking about amps, this amp, actually there's two more amps I want to talk about, but we'll go for one first, and we'll go for the one at the end, which really tickled my pickle. So first we're going to talk about the new Marshall amps. The DSL range is back. The DSL range got discontinued last year. A lot of people were very, very disappointed by that, because the DSL is obviously a very well-loved amp since the late 90s. And they've brought it back. They've revamped it a little bit. I don't know what they've done to it, but they've revamped it apparently. I think they just brought out new sizes, pretty much. But yeah, the DSL amp is back. It looks glorious as ever.
As any other Marshall, they have like this classic look.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is.
They definitely done some like oddball looking amps, like with silver plates and stuff.
They didn't have the 20 watt before. That's one of the main things they've changed. They've got the 20 watt combo and head now, but they've also got the 100 watt head, the 40 watt combo. The 40 watt combos, obviously, we saw that a lot on the Andertons channel. This sounds like stuff they always used to use for DSL 40.
They used to have some 20 watt heads, like I think in like DIY community there is a lot of circuits going around.
I think in terms of the DSL, I think they had the 15 watts. Now they've gone up to 20, so obviously it pushes that a little bit more than the 15 watts. Obviously it might be better for some people to gig with. 15 maybe a tad too quiet, so they've got the 20 watt now. Obviously they've got the 5 watt combo and the 1 watt head and combo too. And obviously a DSL is what it is. We know what it looks like, we know what it sounds like, and it sounds amazing. And they've also got the Marshall Origin amp, which is a new line of amps, I believe, which I think is taking a more of a traditional approach back to it, to give people an all-access valve tone, traditional analog circuitry, and obviously the rich organic tonal qualities of valves, apparently, according to the website. And yeah, they look pretty damn sweet. But yeah, Marshall is back. Marshall pretty much disappeared for the last couple of years in terms of what they were doing, apart from the Code series. I haven't really heard much from Marshall recently. They discontinued a lot of amps, actually. They had the anniversary 1 watt amps of the JMP, the JSM 800 and stuff like that. But apart from the Code, they haven't really done much recently, so it's great to see Marshall back, especially the fact they discontinued their most popular amp, which sucked.
Yeah, but yeah, the Code was quite a good amp, actually.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like the DSL 40, they discontinued that last year. A lot of people were pissed, so it's great to see that they actually were just revamping it and making it a little bit better. Or probably just making people miss it and go, I really wish I bought one of those amps. Now they're like, well, you can, here you go. That's probably what they were doing.
But
I think they're charging a hell of a lot more for the DSL 40 than they used to as well. But
yeah, I have to admit that I was always kind of confused about the Marshall naming stuff, because they have like DSL, JVM, JCM, and
well, the JCMs aren't a thing now, are they? They were
like the letters and numbers, and all I see is that's Marshall logo, and some of them were great, some of them were terrible. And when I see Marshall amp, some letters and numbers, I have no idea what kind of amp.
My bad. They still do make the JCM 800, but they don't do the 900, the 2000 stuff like that anymore. It's like the JCM 800. I think it's like the hot super. the super high end because obviously it's the most desirable. It's like the classic. That's the classic guitar tone. The JVM's kind of like the higher end stuff, and then obviously you've got the DSLs more like your average, like your giga musicians type of amp. But then
they
they've got
also
the Origin
have
now.
like AVTs.
I
believe
think yes.
hybrids.
I don't think they were. They were weird. I don't know what they were. They were more like a lower end. They may have been solid state. I'm not totally sure. I can't remember. But either way, the Marshall DSL is back. A lot of people were sad to see it go, but I think they're more whetting the appetite to making people miss it. So obviously they've re-released it now for a hell of a lot more money than it was. But it's back nonetheless, and they've got the Origin series, which is a bit more traditional approach apparently. And that was another amp that I wanted to talk about briefly. I'll be mentioning my NAMM highlights video if I ever get around to filming it. But the amp that has tickled my pickle more than any other is the PRS Mark Tremonti head. Mark Tremonti now has his own signature PRS head, which is sweet as. Mark Tremonti's long been a user of bands like, is it Bagheera? How do they pronounce them?
Oh really? I thought he was playing Messers, but
he may have played Messer back at some point. He also played Diesel, I believe, at once upon a time. I think.
Yeah, but Bagheera are, as far as I know, are like more lower entry level tube heads. But I think
he just play them. I think he did play them. From what I've seen. I think he's always been a user of them, big fan of them. He does play Messer as well, but I'm sure that's what he's been playing quite a lot over the last couple of years or few years. Maybe he changed at some point, but I know once upon a time he was playing them. I'm gonna try find out, what does he play? It's Bogner. Sorry, it's Bogner.
Bogner. Oh yeah,
Bogner.
yeah, not Bagheera. Bogner, no. Yes.
Bogner.
Yes,
that's what he was playing. He's always been known. Bogner and Messabuki is what he's been playing. But now he's got his own PRS head, the Mark Tremonti 15-watt head, which looks sweet as I can imagine it's going to sound. I've heard clips of it, but I imagine this is going to be one of those big amps.
It's kind of cool thing about Power Smith that even when they do amps and heads, which usually look like exactly the same and just like ugly, plywood covered.
Yeah, because like the Archon looked pretty ugly as shit. I didn't like it. They've got the Sonzera, I think it's called, and then they've got the John Mayer head, which look very, very similar to each other. I don't like the look of either of them. Sorry, Paul, but I don't like the look of either of them. And the John Mayer head, £6,495 to buy. You can keep it, mate. I don't think it's going to sound that good.
Yeah, but they make... they actually care about how they look as well, so yeah, they use some kind of...
Yeah, not denying that one at all, but I'm not a big fan of their amps in terms of their looks and that. I'm not a massive fan of them. The Archon's a decent amp, but I'm not a big fan of it. But I think this is going to be the big seller for PRS in terms of their amps.
I'd call those amps like wife friendly, because if you have a amp in your bedroom, it should better look like Boris Smith or something, because if you have some ugly black amp surrounded by really nice furniture,
I think it almost looks like part of the furniture, the PRS amps. It looks very
so that's
homely.
the point. So
but remember a few years ago when the 6505 mini head came out, and that became like the big thing. Like when the Lunchbox amp started to become really popular, the 6505 came out, like Fluff reviewed it, got a load of press on that. You see like Pikachu's use them all the time. Like the 6505 is a really popular Lunchbox amp. And I think this is going to be like the popular Lunchbox amp for 2018. I think it's going to be like, this is going to be the next big metal amp that everyone buys. And it sounds awesome. It's 15 watts, 7 watts adjustable. It's got two 6L6s in it with JJ EC83 preamps. Obviously, it's got all the usual stuff. You've got your gain, master, treble, middle, boost. It's got a treble boost as well. It's got a clean, dirty channel. It's got effects loops. You can adjust the bias with it. You can change the tubes out and that. It's going to be one of those popular Lunchbox amps. I think a lot of people are going to start buying for the bedroom guitarists. I think it's going to be a very popular thing. And they're also working on the 100-watt version as well for the gigging musicians out there. So
sure. I can't find it on their website, but
that was one thing when I saw
MT15,
that was a thing,
right? MT15.
Yeah, when I saw that was a thing, I was hyped. I was hyped as when I saw that. I was like, yes, Mark Tremonti's got his amp. This is awesome. I was so happy. Love Mark Tremonti. Huge Mark Tremonti fan.
But he's a Boris Smith artist for like
he's a lifer.
Decades.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
He's been with Paul V. Smith for Paul V. Smith were like the the brand. Like they've always been a good brand, but before they became like the brand, like he's been with them forever, since like the late 90s, I think it was.
Yeah, pretty sure like that, because and his signature guitar is
one of the best
popular.
selling.
Yes, as far as I know, it sells like.
Speaking of PRS signature models, apparently the Zach Myers model is one of the most popular PRS models sold, and most people buy it, apparently. And apparently most people buy it not for the fact that the guy from Shinedown plays it, just because it's a mint guitar.
Yeah, it looks great.
So that dude,
the green
Zach,
one, right? So
yeah. So Zach Myers makes a boatload of money in royalties for a guitar that no one really gives a shit that it is.
Yeah, it actually happens. I believe it used to be with Mike Mushok baritone, because that's grayish, gray-black baritone guitar. I actually used to play one briefly, and it's everywhere. So if you, at least a few years ago, if you see a baritone, it's most likely a PRS Mike Mushok baritone, because it's one of the few decent models out there
at that time. As well, the Mark Halcombe model, that's really popular. But obviously, I think
it wasn't around at the time.
I think that's part because of who he is, but as well. But I think obviously Periphery have a very cult-like band. They've got a very cult-like following. So I think a lot of people, it's a metal PRS guitar. So I think that's why it sells well as well. So obviously he's making money out of a guitar that. Not like if I was going to buy it, if I wanted a PRS for more metal stuff, I'd probably go for the Mark Halcombe guitar, but I wouldn't buy it because it's the guy from Periphery's guitar. I'd buy it because it's a great guitar. So he's probably making a decent amount of money out of that as well. Like Randy Rhoads as well. He's a stately making millions out of his Randy Rhoads guitars.
Yeah,
as well, just because the shape sort of transcended the artist more. But Mark Tremonti, the fact he's got his amp now is awesome. I was so excited to see that. Been a massive Mark Tremonti fan for years.
Have you seen, by the way, any baritones, any new baritone models of any brand?
Thinking about you, Chapman have a baritone. Schecter have multiple. I think ESP have one.
Okay.
There's quite a few out there. Baritones are quite popular, but they're sort of like they're not massively popular, but there isn't enough of them out there. Ibanez, I think, have one. Have a baritone. PRS do have a baritone. They have a standard baritone.
I think they have a few years. They have released a new baritone a few years back.
Mark Tremonti has his own baritone signature model as well.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, Chapman, Ibanez, LTD, I'm sure Schecter probably have one. There's a few of them out there. But no, Chapman definitely have one. Obviously, one of Rabia's signatures is a baritone as well. One of Rabia's guitars.
Yeah, it's an expensive one, but
but they've got the ML, the Indonesian baritones. It's about 450 quid here in the UK, I think it is.
Oh, I should check it out.
Yeah, it looks pretty sweet, actually.
I'm kind of in the market for baritone right now, so I could use one.
The Chapman one's obviously a good one to consider. Like says, you got to look at someone like Schecter in that as well.
They don't ship to Russia, unfortunately, so I have to look anywhere else.
Damn.
Unless they have some other dealers that then Endertons in Europe, because Endertons don't ship.
There's Torman.
Oh yeah, probably Torman ships.
It seems that we've still got a few more things to talk about. We'll probably wrap up the NAMM stuff very soon, because we've been going this podcast long as hell, and we are nowhere near done. But one thing I need to talk about, this is probably the thing I was most excited for. I think we'll probably, unless there's anything you want to talk about with NAMM, we'll probably call it a day after that one, because we've been going shitload of time now. But one thing I had to talk about was the new Mick Thompson from Slipknot and Jackson soloist signature models. Oh man. Oh, if I had 800 quid. If I had 800 quid, one of them would be mine. That looks beautiful. I was actually wanting to get these Ibanez a while ago. For some reason, I think I'm in the market for a metal guitar. I can't afford one, but at some point I want to get a metal guitar. Just for more metal stuff, because you never know you want to play a metal.
Oh, yeah. And, by the way, when did he switch to
a year ago?
Jackson? A year
or so ago.
So,
he left Ibanez.
Thought of him as a Ibanez guy.
Jackson probably waved a lot of money in front of him, but apparently he got a custom-made Jackson soloist, I think, or a V, I think, before the first Slipknot album, and he used it, I think, all over that sort of time period before he joined BC Rich. So apparently he's always been a big Jackson guy. Just obviously endorsements is what it is, but apparently he still plays Jackson all the time. Apparently he still plays his BC Riches all the time, even though he hasn't been with them for well over a decade now. I think since the Iowa days he hasn't been with BC Rich. But he still plays them all the time. But yeah, he switched over to Jackson. He had I think last year they revealed his custom shop model. It was like $4,000, like made in USA, handmade, shit like that. And now they've got the regular import model, the Jackson McThompson line. The soloist retails around £800, give or take, and it is beautiful. It looks like a soloist, looks a bit like his Ibanez, to tell you the truth. Looks very similar to his Ibanez. It's got his
that makes sense.
Mahogany body, maple neck, ebony fretboard. I think it's ebony fretboard. He's got his signature blackouts in it, even in the import model. He's still got his signature blackouts rather than just some Duncan designed actives, which is sweet. So obviously it's very close to his original, just more of a mass-produced version, a CSC machine version. It's got a custom neck profile, which looks pretty comfortable. It's got one volume. I think it's a 3-way selector, but it's like a Strat style selector switch. But yeah, one volume pot, so there's no tone to do anything. It doesn't use a tone.
Yeah,
the jack is closer to where the bottom strap button is. It's there.
Oh, okay.
On the body, it's on the side of the body, where that is. So basically, you plug your cable in, it goes right round into your straps. Obviously, nothing can get caught in it. It's literally just you plug your cable in, and your strap's right there. Obviously, loop it round, so it doesn't pull out. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
apparently he did that on his Ibanez as well. And the one thing that's really interesting is the fact that have you seen the bridge for it? It's like a Floyd Rose, but it's not a tremolo system.
It's kind of something Ibanez was doing. It was like
Ibanez did it as well. It's his own bridge, I think it is.
Yeah,
it's a Floyd Rose.
Locking nuts as well.
Yeah, lock and nut. It's like it's got this tuning stability of a Floyd Rose. He set it up like you do a Floyd Rose, but there's no hole in the back. There's no wood carved out. There's no springs. There's no trem. It doesn't float or anything. It's a solid hardtail bridge, but it's basically like a Floyd Rose bridge, but like solid in the guitar without a trem on it. So you lock it in exactly the same. You've got the lock and nuts. The tuning stability is like perfect, and that really piqued my interest because I love obviously the tuning stability of something like a Floyd Rose, but I don't really have a need for them. And changing tunings is a bit of a bitch because obviously you've got the tension of the springs and the trem and that. So obviously with this one you've got the sort of the tuning stability of a Floyd Rose, but you unlock the lock and nut at the top. You can just tune down or whatever.
Yeah, but I believe the stability of Floyd Rose comes from the springs, but that one doesn't have any springs. So
no, it's the same type of bridge. It's like that same type of bridge, but apparently the tuning stability is absolutely just perfect. Doesn't move or anything like that.
Okay.
Which is fantastic. And yeah, when I saw that, I was like, man, if I had £800, I would be all over that shit. Like many other things that I've seen this year at NAMM. If I had the money, I would be all over that, man. Well and true. That's my number one thing that I was probably most excited about at NAMM was the Jackson. I was like, fuck,
it looks cool.
I need myself one of them. But anything else at NAMM tickled your pickle before we move on to the Axe Effects?
Not sure. I think that's it.
God, we talked about a lot of gear in this episode.
We've been big gear nerds
for an hour and a half. Big gear nerds.
Yeah.
But obviously we can talk about the Axe Effects because the day after NAMM, seems that we're talking about Axe Effects, I need to talk about one more quick thing. Just as a quick segue, seems that we're talking about modelling. Did you hear about Kemper?
No.
And they did a video of Andertons. And Lee asked him, is there going to be a Kemper 2? Or what's the plan for Kemper? Is basically, are you doing anything with Kemper this year? And in a roundabout way, they went, no, the Kemper's amazing. Why do we need to do anything?
Pretty much. I think that's kind of the truth. Because there are some people like
what can you improve? The Kemper is what it is. You don't need a Kemper 2. What can they really improve?
Yeah, I even remember some a few months ago. My guitar teacher is like, I don't know, he's kind of conservative guy, and one day he just, I arrived at his place and he's like super pumped and he's like super over the top, and he's just talking about when he went to the studio, he was in the process of recording his album, and he said like, dude, I was recording on a Kemper. This is so badass. This is so cool. Like,
they're amazing.
Like the whole process is so much easier, and I was really amazed because the guy was like conservative and he used to play all these custom-made guitars, custom-made tube amps all the time, and now he tried Kemper and
the Kemper's amazing.
You see what you see. Like,
but yeah, I kind of agree with the Kemper dude, where it's pretty much what do we like. what can they change? The Kemp, you still got to buy. Like, most Kempers aren't in stock in a lot of places still. They're still very much in demand. They could do with maybe improving some of the effects, which obviously they can do through updates rather than releasing the Kemper 2. But yeah, pretty much at NAMM they just said we don't need to change anything. The Kemper's amazing. But I thought that was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, why not? So,
I thought that was pretty damn funny.
Yeah,
right.
it works. Even some studios use it.
There's no need to improve what's already perfect. So. But yes, things that we're talking about amp modelers, I was meant to mention that earlier, so I thought we'd quickly segue into that. But yes, the day after NAMM, when everyone's already burnt out with gear goodness, Fractal Audio surprised everyone, announced the Axe FX3. And man, that thing looks gorgeous. That looks beautiful.
Oh yeah, that looks fresh.
Oh, I know the Kemper's number 1 on my wish list, but I think the Axe FX might be number 2. No, the Mick Thompson signature's maybe number 2, and then I think the Axe FX3. But damn, that thing looks sweet as. Oh, I don't know how much you can improve the Axe FX, because the Axe FX is another product where it's absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Like, what could they do? Apparently, it's like 2.5 times more powerful than the Axe FX2.
Yeah, so apparently they just improved some specs, some better hardware, and some DSPs and stuff.
Hopefully they made the editing a little bit. I've always heard that Axe FX is a little bit awkward to edit on. It's a bit, you spend a lot more time editing patches than you do actually playing it, which is what I've heard. So hopefully they maybe make it a bit more user friendly. But yeah, obviously apart from maybe tweaking the amp models, they've put I think 2048 impulse response cabs on there, which is a huge amount. And you've got you've got 189 legacy cabs, which I believe are the cabs that was on the Axe FX2. So obviously that's a huge amount of cabs that you've got possibilities for the new that, and you've also got 2048 places for your own impulse responses. So obviously the possibilities with the Axe FX3 are literally endless.
Yeah, but that's quite overwhelming at the same time because
that's one of the things as well. Like
personally, I'm more used to when you just pick one amp and you just plug it in and it sounds great right off the bat.
Oh yeah, like Bias FX is too much for me. Like I haven't unlocked the potential of Bias FX, and that's a plugin. Never mind having 5,000 amp cabs to choose from all these amp models. They've got over 200 different effects. The way that the routing grids is now, it's 6 rows and 14 columns. I don't know whether that means you can have 84 separate. Would that be what it means?
Yeah, I believe there are some places for different effects, chains, parallel, series, and that's probably how it works. And that has to do with the core number. If you
literally made a patch that took the Axe FX to its limit, you've got the potential. If it's 6 rows and 14 columns of effects, amp, signal chains, where obviously like when things are triggered, I'm assuming basically when it's triggered, certain like the signal change, you could change it to route a different way and stuff like that through MIDI switching. Where it's like even out of one patch, if you did that, like what are the possibilities of tones you would get out of that one patch just by taking it to its limit with using all 84 places in the chain. Like, it's incredible. And that's out of one patch you could do it. Never mind all the other 512 patches you could store on the Axe FX. It's absolutely just insane. And it's like, I don't think anyone's ever unlocked the true potential of an Axe FX. I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, but the most users, I see the most users a touring musician like thing because a lot of bands that come play gigs here, like huge international acts, I started to notice like maybe 5 years ago or so that a lot of them bring Axe FXs with them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them gravitate towards the Kemper now. I've seen a lot of people change from like Axe to the Kemper, but the Axe FX still very, very prominent.
Yeah, but
in live touring.
The really weird thing about Axe FX on the stage is that I noticed that like right away when bands that come to a venue, like mid-sized venue, like maybe 1,000-2,000 people, like a lot of those venues sound like shit. So like small venues may sound good, like huge venues might sound good, but the ones in the middle are like tough ones.
But ones that
when
most
people
bands are playing
started to bring like Axe FXs with them, somehow it sounds amazing all the time.
Because you can get like your album tone on stage, and obviously no matter where you are, there's no mic placement because it's all front of houses. There's no mic placement and stuff like that. Like it's there's not, you haven't got like a shit room which is making the frequencies and the microphone.
Even with the acoustics, like it works. Like,
it's amazing.
That's weird.
But like Metallica use Axe-Fx now. Like I mean, like probably one of the biggest, potentially biggest rock band in the world right now. Metallica using Axe-Fx. Like DJ Ashby, when I saw Guns N' Roses in 2012, he was using the Axe there. He uses it now, I believe, still with 6am. Like John Petrucci uses it now. The guys from Periphery all use them. Like it's huge. Like the Axe-Fx is like it's. Like I said, the Kemper's getting a bit of a market share, but the Axe-Fx in terms of a live world tour musician, the Axe-Fx is still king.
Oh I
think it's because you
the
can get
first
that
one, but I've heard a lot of recordings since.
Like it's built for the touring musician.
Version,
like it's for the professional musician, which obviously puts it a lot out of our price point for most of us. Like it's one of those things that I would love an Axe-Fx, but if I had apparently Steve Vai uses one as well. The Edge from U2 uses one.
Oh really? Yeah.
Apparently. Devin Townsend obviously uses one. Alex Lifeson from Rush uses one. Guthrie Govan, Phil Collin from Def Leppard, Joe Satriani. I always mentioned Metallica. Andy Summers from The Police, Don Felder from The Eagles, Torsten Abassi uses one, Dave Mustaine from Megadeth uses one now, Steve Stevens from Billy Idol. Like, no, I mean, like it's like the who's who of music.
Bands.
See, you've got U2, you've got The Police, you've got the Eagles all using Axe-Fx, and you've got John Petrucci, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani's, and you've got like your Peripheries, your Metallicas. Yeah, Mastodon, they're all using, like, it's unreal how many people use it. Apparently, I'm just going through the website now, Sinister Gates uses it, apparently.
Okay.
Brad Delson from Linkin Park uses one. Breaking Benjamin use one. Like, Guns N' Roses, Megadeth, Marty Friedman uses one. It's unreal. It is the true touring musician's amp rig for the 21st century.
Yeah, that's
all
amazing.
Like you've got your guys like Slash, I think, which will always be Marshall guys. I think will always be the case. But like even he doesn't play with amps on stage anymore. With Guns N' Roses, they're obviously behind the stage. They're all set up in ISO cabs and stuff like that. And it's like when you get to these sort of levels, that's when the Axe-Fx sort of becomes king, because that's how the Axe-Fx would be set up. Really, it would just be going in the front of the house from wherever it's kept. And it's definitely a touring musician's type of piece of gear, which obviously puts it out of the range for a lot of us. But I'd love one if I got the opportunity. But I also think in the same breath, if I had $2,500 to spend on an Axe-Fx, would I buy one?
Well, I believe a lot of artists like.
That's we're not pro touring musicians. It's like, would I want? Like, I'm very much in the digital world. I don't play amps. I don't have much desire to play a real amp. I'm all about the digital. But it's like, I don't know, it's a lot of money. I don't know. I'm just trying to think, if I was sat and I was on the website, would I hit buy now and would I put my bank card into that website and pay $2,500, half the price of my car? My car's worth less than that now. Like if I trade I won't even get £2,000 for my car now if I sell it. And like, would I want to pay half the value of what I paid for my car for an Axe-Fx? That's a shitload of money.
You can always rent it, but the thing with that is that it's quite complicated, so I don't know how to use the Axe-Fx. I can rent it every now and then when I play shows, but I don't, because even if I do, like,
you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't have a clue what you were doing. It'd be
exactly. So
no, I'm saying, obviously, if we were touring musicians, then fair enough. Axe-Fx. If I was going to tour the world or whatever, I would go over Axe-Fx without a doubt. It's convenient, it makes sense. But I'm trying to think, is the person that was me with my 2,000 subscriber YouTube channel, if I had $2,500 to spend on gear now, I don't know if I could click buy now and all that money would just disappear. But in terms of value for money, I'd say that Axe-Fx definitely there.
Oh yeah,
it's unreal, absolutely amazing piece of kit. And like I said, the day after NAMM, everyone's burnt out on NAMM, and they just go, you know what? He's Axe-Fx 3, friends, and the whole world just went boof, just exploded again with excitement. Although I've seen a lot of negative stuff about it. I've seen a lot of negative backlash about the Axe-Fx. I think in part it's how much can you really improve it, because a lot of people say the Axe-Fx 2 is borderline perfection anyway, so how much can you really improve it? Obviously you're charging all this money for something that's not a great deal different to what we've already got. But then also I know a lot of people have recently bought Axe-Fx 2s and now they're a bit pissed that the 3's coming out. But it's the same with everything. It is what it is, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
If you buy something, you clearly were happy enough to buy the 2 now, so what's the difference in not buying the 3? you've got the two. You're more than happy to spend $2,000 on that. So it is what it is.
Yeah, but probably the second ones might drop in price. But
yeah, that's what I think. I think
sure.
they'll drop by a few £100, I think, for sure. It'll make it a lot more.
Sure. But definitely, there will be a lot of them on the used market. So.
I think the Axis FX2 is about £1,500 amp now on the used market, and I could see it potentially dropping down to about £1,200 because people are going to starting to sell them at fund for $3,000. And I can see people starting to undercut each other to get that sale because obviously a lot of people need to free up a lot of money very fast because they start shipping in March and stuff like that. So if you want to get them day one, like you need to, unless you have the cash ready to go, you need to free up a lot of cash very quick. So I can see a few people maybe undercutting each other on Reverb, trying to get that sale. So I can see the price of them maybe dropping down a little bit to be a bit more competitive. So that might open up the Axis FX2 to people like you and me, because if we're paying £1,200 for Axis FX2, that's a bit more accessible to us than say £2,500, $3,000 or whatever like that. So yeah, it's piqued my interest. I've always been aware of the Axis FX. I've always thought they were amazing, but it's never been on my radar as being something I would have considered buying. But now it's on my radar again, and I'm like, oh, could that be the way to go?
Yeah, but we can wait and see how far can software plugins get.
I'm a big believer of digital, so I think a digital hardware rack amp modeling rack thing is definitely in the pipeline for me. I don't know what I'm going to get yet, but I think that's definitely going to be the direction I'm going to go in for sure. But yeah, the Axis FX, I was going to get the 11 rack, and then I was going to save up and get a Kemper, but I don't know, the Axis FX may just sort of snuck in there and just sort of like uppercutted the Kemper a bit and being like,
Have you considered buying the first Axis FX, like
Fractal you can get them about
Ultra
£600. You can get an Axis FX one for about £600 now.
Yeah, it's quite decent. I played one.
It could be worth buying a cheaper model to see whether it's all that, see whether it's worth that investment.
Oh yeah,
so, could be something to do. But yeah, the Axis FX has never been on my radar, and then like literally in the last few days, like it's snuck in that race, and it's like, yeah, you might want to buy me as well. And now I'm like, I might want to buy an Axis FX. So I could talk about it all day long because I haven't got any fucking money to do so. But when I do, the Axis FX, you never know. It could be the one. Who knows? But either way, the world is exciting. I cannot wait to start hearing the demos of this thing. I cannot wait to start hearing this coming out on YouTube and hearing people playing. It's going to be incredible. And it'd be interesting to see the comparisons, because obviously multiple people are going to have the Axis FX2 and they're also going to get the Axis FX3. So it'd be interesting to see the differences and hear the differences and see whether it is all that before we make up our mind.
There's also like positive grid bias head, and there's like,
I don't know if I'd want to buy a bias head. I don't ever want to buy a bias head because I like bias effects. I do like it. It's great software. I don't know whether it's worth £1,000 to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's the thing. I could buy a Kemper for a couple £100 more. Could buy a Helix.
Yeah,
the Helix I think so. So I think the Helix is good, but I don't. There's something about the Line 6, the way their things sound. It never quite sounds right to me.
Yeah, there are definitely some people like James Browning from Monuments who plays like Line 6 exclusively, and he sounds badass.
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure
they can sound amazing, but there's also something about them which makes me go like, it sounds great, but I won't want to spend that money on it. I've contemplated buying a Pod HD 500X a few times, but I don't know. There's something where I don't know if I had the choice if I'd want to spend that money on a Helix when there's other options like Axis FX2 used, a Kemper, stuff like that. Like, I'm not totally sure about the Helix, but the 11 rack something that I'm probably going to consider getting, because you can get one for £300 these days, brand new. And they're pretty sweet. I know DJ Ashby used one in 6am before the Guns N' Roses gig. He sounds awesome. The guy from Hinder used one. Uses one. They are quite popular, but now a company called Headrush have basically taken the 11 rack amp models and basically made this new pedal board, like a Helix pedal board type of thing, using that but with like upgraded technology and more power and better amp models and stuff like that, and that looks pretty sweet. It's like the next generation of 11 rack. So there's definitely options out there, but yeah, the Axis FX, it's pretty damn sweet. But obviously we had to talk about that today. We had to touch upon that in the podcast because that's obviously big post-NAMM news.
Oh yeah.
Which I said a lot of people weren't expecting, and I saw it, I was like, hype, and it became one of my best videos that I've done in a while, which was good, so I'm not complaining about that.
How much views so far?
I'm refreshing 10,000? My page now. It is on, at the time of recording this podcast, it is on 8,604.
Okay, sweet.
Which is good, because the last time any video on my channel got that sort of traction was my Judas reaction, the Fozzy video that I did. And obviously I couldn't even monetize that one. That's got 80,000 views now. So yeah, the fact that it's got that, considering the two videos either side of it have 71 and 57 views. The video I uploaded before this one and the video I uploaded after that one. So I'd say this one's been pretty damn successful for the channel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Although it did get a load of random hate, which really pissed me off, right? Because this wasn't actually from people that were musicians, right? This is a fucking annoying story, right? I don't know if you'd be aware, then there's a YouTuber called Ace Train the Liam, Pokemon YouTuber, blue hair, cool dude. I like him. He's a friend of mine. He's got a girlfriend called Groove Dusk, Lydia. Awesome girl. Super nice. I was trying to promote her during the whole partnership program crisis thing. She uploaded a video a few days ago about what it's like dating a YouTuber, because obviously she got into a relationship last year with a successful YouTuber. What's it like back? Because obviously we see what we give people. Obviously the way we see creators is how creators see us. Obviously we show them the best side of us, the part of us they want to see, stuff like that. Obviously for entertainment value. So what's it like behind closed doors of actually being in a relationship with a real life, like famous, like semi-famous YouTuber, like a working YouTuber? What's it actually like behind the scenes? And in the video she talked about all that stuff, and it was a good video. I enjoyed it. I left a comment, said obviously I also thought you two were good together. Like I think they do look like a good couple together. Mentioned it. People have been commenting on it, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden this video started getting bombarded with hate.
Oh.
Like out of no, like 40 likes, 90 dislikes. All from, you know, when you get those accounts where they got no avatars, just random accounts.
Oh yeah.
All these things, because there's those people that got a vendetta against her. I don't know whether it's because they preferred his ex-girlfriend to her, or whether she's pissed someone off or something like that, or maybe people saying she's like sucking dick for fame. No, I don't know what people's issues might be with her. I don't know what they are, because I don't personally know what the issues would be. But you know, people get a fucking axe about anything. People have an axe to grind. But basically started getting hate. People started commenting, blah blah blah, giving a hate, shit like that. And all of a sudden my video started getting a load of dislikes. And I was like, what the fuck? And I started getting a load of random comments saying like retard, pussy, you fucking cunt, blah blah blah. What the fuck? Like, this is like a random. I know the fucking the AxeFX community, like more like the Gibson community, they're all full of arseholes. There's some nice people, obviously, but you get those die-hard people. Like they could have been Helix lovers that went, oh, the new AxeFX, I want to hate on it because it's AxeFX, it's not a Line 6. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, maybe it's that, but either way, you're being a cunt, mate. So it is what it is anyway. And I noticed, I don't know what, someone mentioned something and it twigged to me that these people know me from somewhere. And I was like, where? And I went back on her video. I noticed in the comment section a lot of these same names were there that were giving her hate. They were calling her names. They were hating on people who were commenting positive things in her video. So obviously they saw this video and then came over to my channel, spammed the dislikes on my channel and left me hate all because I left a positive comment on another creator's channel. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was like, if you were a musician, if you saw my video, if you saw, oh, the new AxeFX out, you thought the video was going to be about me playing AxeFX for you. You thought it was going to, someone's going to play it, you're disappointed, you left a dislike. I still think you're a prick, but fair enough, that's your prerogative, it is what it is. But the fact that these people weren't musicians, they had no interest in my video, and they only disliked it because I said something nice about another creator, that really pissed me off about that. Considering it's my most successful video in a very long time, the fact that the dislike is pretty high is really fucking frustrating.
And does it somewhere in some way interfere with your ad revenue or something like that?
Not with the ad revenue, but they always say that engagement, good or bad, doesn't matter to YouTube. The fact that people have clicked dislike shows that they had a feeling, they had an opinion enough about the video, or click dislike, that they'll still promote it. But you know that, say if you get a video that's got 100 dislikes and 50 likes, you know YouTube's not going to be promoting that.
Oh yeah.
Because that's going to be mad. Because YouTube's going to start thinking, the algorithm's going to start thinking, there's something wrong with this content that people aren't clicking with, so I'm not going to promote it. And I noticed that by the time these dislikes started getting as high as they are now, my video was the first search or the second. If you search AxeFX 3, mine video was number 1. If you search for AxeFX III as in number 3, my video was number 2. And then by the time this got like say 15 dislikes, my video dropped down to like number 6. And even videos that weren't about the AxeFX 3 but about the AxeFX 2 from a year ago had started overtaking it in the search results. And I think that played a part in it.
Yeah, and you're number 6 right now.
Yeah. Which was I think the dislikes had something to do with that. And it was really frustrating.
Yeah,
the fact
it might work. Yeah.
My most successful video in a long time. And all because I left a positive comment on a friend's video and said, I enjoyed that, mate. It got fucking hate. I mean, if it was musicians that hated it because I'm a shit musician, or it wasn't an XFX playthrough and you thought it was going to be that, fair enough. That is what it is. People are free to dislike the videos. People still dislike the video. That's entirely their prerogative. But that really pissed me off. And that's one thing I just wanted to vent about there quickly, since we're talking about the video. Yeah. But in terms of views, yeah, the video's it got more views in the first 24 hours than I believe any other video on my channel's ever done. I think. Just by a few, not many, but by a few. My subscribers since that video's gone up by about 14, give or take. I don't know how many that's related to the actual video. I can find out in the analytics. I'll click on it. It tells you, doesn't it? Apparently I've gained 8 subscribers from that video.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But these are delayed by 2 days as well, the analytics. Because these analytics only go up for 31st of January, so there may be more. So that's good. Did I lose any subscribers? I didn't lose any subscribers because of the video. So
yeah, and those subscribers are interested in gear, obviously, and
obviously interested in that enough. So that was good. The audience retention shit, but a lot of people would have clicked on the video, saw it wasn't a playthrough video or an official. Because the thumbnail, I'm not going to lie, looks like an official Fractal video. And the title, the XFX3 is coming. It looks official as fuck. So some dumb fuck won't have seen that it says Doodles as the guy that uploaded it. It might have thought it was an official video, saw it, went, oh, it's not, it's some fucking fat dude talking, clicked off the video. That's probably why the audience retention is a bit shit. But it is what it is. I was expecting it to be fair. I was expecting the shit audience retention.
I think there's 3 videos above yours that involve actual XFX3.
Do you know, within the first 5 seconds of that video, I on average lost 37% of the audience.
Yeah. Did you mention in those 5 seconds that you don't have XFX3?
No, I think I said, if you're in the market for an XFX2, you might be in luck because the XFX2 is about to get a hell of a lot cheaper because the XFX3 is now a thing. Bam! Off! Fuck that guy. It's pretty much what happened. And apparently, according to this is probably the worst performing video. One of the best views I've ever got, but one of the worst performing videos I've ever got. And I think it's the fact that people assume it's an official XFX playthrough video, or I own one, and I don't. But apparently, only 4.5% of people make it to the end of this video.
Okay.
That's pretty piss poor. This is literally one of my worst performing videos. My video never cracks. In the relative audience retention, my video never cracks above average audience retention.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. You don't have XFX3 and probably
yeah, exactly. I was expecting it. It's a kind of clickbait video in its own way. People would have clicked on that video. It looks official as fuck with a thumbnail. Oh, yeah. People assumed, because that's the image taken directly from the XFX website, so most people assumed it was either going to be an official video about the XFX or I was going to be showing off the XFX. So yeah, that's fine. I was expecting that anyway. But yeah, it's one of my worst performing videos in terms of watch time and audience retention. My best viewed video of all time in terms of how quick it got views.
And then it will get a copyright strike from Fractal Audio because you used their picture and...
Probably, Zion.
That's where it ends.
I did email them and said, I've got this video, it's doing really well, it's actually performing like one best video of all time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, please send me one.
People clearly want to see the XFX, so what about sending us one out on the channel? And they said, we haven't got any units available to send out at the minute, but when we do, we'll keep your request in consideration, which is a nice way of saying, no, mate. You've only got 2,000 subscribers. We're not going to send you a fucking XFX3,
yeah,
mate.
They definitely do have some of those because, yeah.
Although, I will say, if you search for XFX3, those 2 people that I saw at the top of the search result that I've actually played through them, one of them has 15,000 subscribers and one of them has 2,205 subscribers and he already has it, XFX3. So
probably he's an artist, probably he's a retailer or probably he's a tech for someone.
He's got a lot of videos on his channel about the XFX. He's a Grammy Award winning producer, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
there we go. That's him. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's.
He's a producer. He's probably been able to get hold of it early. Grammy Award winning apparently. If you look, he's got a Wikipedia page. So assuming that's the same person.
Yeah, obviously. So
if it's the same dude, he's produced for Al Green, Rod Stewart, John Mayer. So
what's
that
name?
dude. It's Larry Mitchell.
Larry Mitchell. Okay.
You on Wikipedia it comes up as Lawrence Mitchell.
Yeah,
If it
he's
is the
number
same
one
dude.
on the...
Well, it says Grammy Award winning producer, and obviously those names are Grammy winning musicians. So I'm going to assume that he's probably the same dude. He's got his own signature model of Nags guitars. So yeah, I'm assuming he's probably obviously he's a big name in producing. So I'm assuming he probably got an Axe FX3 for that reason.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So yeah, probably being a YouTuber probably had very, very little to do with that decision. Probably the fact he's a producer.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, then the other person who's got an XFX already is only a 15,000 subscriber channel, but like I said, he could be in the same boat, couldn't he? So
yeah, next time you write an email, you should mention that you own a studio, that you own a record label.
Fuck yes!
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to do. I'm the founder of Miscast Studios. I'm the founder of Miscast Records.
I'm a big deal.
I'm the founder of Miscast Media, that is host to Miscast Studios, Miscast Records, Miscast Podcast. What you name it, Miscast. It's part of my brand. I can big it up, couldn't I?
Yeah, that sounds pretty big.
Damn.
Yeah, I would send you one, maybe two.
Why didn't I think of that sooner? Damn, I'm going to do that. I'm going to email them again.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like
yes, Mark
CEO,
Day Guitar.
Producer-in-chief and anything like that. So.
Mark Day Guitar has an Axe FX3. Here's where you'll see some great demos of gear by Fractal Audio, Dave Freeman, John Stewart, Egnate. So yeah, basically plays high-end gear. So he's obviously got some sort of connection to them clearly, or he's rich as shit, one of the two. But yeah, so it looks like YouTubers don't have Axe FX3s at the minute, so there's still hope.
Yeah.
So I might send another email. I am the founder of blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you never know, I might just get one. Damn, I hope I do. But yeah, we've been going 2 hours now. Fuck. We'll quickly touch upon the fact before we wrap up the podcast that we heard the rumour that BC Rich may be going out of business. No one has reported on this yet. There's no official news article yet, but apparently Hansa Music Group, who own the BC Rich brand, they bought it from the Rico family. I think it was when Bernie Rico Sr. died. I think it got passed on to his son. And they sold it off to the Hansa Music Group. Apparently, they are shutting their doors as early as this month, February. Apparently, it said next month, but obviously now it's this month. So it's very potential that the BC Rich is either going to close its door, but they have got the import license of Praxis, so I imagine the BC Rich brand will go on. But it's potentially going to get sold off. Who knows who it's going to get sold off to? Which could be there's nothing official. I really need to find some information. It's official information, but this is just what I've heard anyway. And it seems to be reported widely among the BC Rich community that this is actually a thing.
Yeah, it would probably be a good idea to check what's up with those BC Rich artists. Have they moved on to something else?
There's only Kerry King. There's a few small names, but Kerry King's the only real BC Rich artist left now in terms of big name stars.
Yeah, so he's still with BC Rich. He didn't move
on they revealed
new signature
model. They revealed new signature model 6 months ago. So. But Praxis have the import line. They make them all in China now. Praxis also do Sterling, the manufacturing distributor for Sterling by Music Man.
Okay.
That's who Praxis are. But Praxis seem to... they don't seem to care about BC Rich as much, which really frustrates me. Obviously, they put a lot of effort into Sterling. Sterling's really came a long way in the last couple of years. Obviously, the John Petrucci model for St. Vincent models are very popular. And a lot of people are starting to buy into them rather than buying the actual Music Man stuff. And it all seems like BC Rich has been put on the back burner as being like another brand on the books. They made an import line in China. Even the high-end BC Rich is made in China. And they retail in the UK for £1,300 to £1,700, which is really annoying because that sort of money buys you an American Fender, Gibson Les Paul Traditional, stuff like that. Or you can buy a Chinese BC Rich, which is... Obviously, a lot of people are pretty pissed off about that. I wouldn't buy a high-end BC Rich for that reason. Because you're paying American-made prices for a Chinese guitar.
Yeah, you can get a used one from Japan.
I'm on the new stuff, but I've heard a lot of negative things about the build quality of these the Chinese ones. The new factory that they use, and apparently the workmanship's been very subpar at times. So I would feel very uncomfortable about handing over £1,700 for a high-end BC Rich these days. So hopefully, if Praxis get it, hopefully they turn the brand around. But if not, if they just put it all in the Chinese line, BC Rich is going to go down very, very fast. So hopefully it gets sold off to someone who actually gives a shit about the brand. And,
it looks like their Twitter account is...
Oh, their Twitter account's never active. It's very inactive.
Their last post was in September.
Yeah, it's very inactive. The Facebook page is a little bit more active, but there's been nothing official as far as I can tell. from BC Rich. I'm not entirely sure, but nothing seems to be said about it. So I'm not totally sure whether it's out in public knowledge yet, but the people on the BC Rich Junkies Facebook group are very, very in and have a lot of knowledge about BC Rich, and some of them are even former employees, current people that have a connection to them. So I think it does seem pretty accurate that this is going to be the case.
Oh yeah,
I think. But yeah, definitely to do some more digging about it. That might be the reason why they weren't at NAMM this year. Maybe that would put a lot of truth into that one as well.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But yeah, that's obviously a story for another day, but one that I'm definitely going to try and figure out.
Yeah, you should make another clickbaity video about that.
Yeah, I might do.
To keep the views going, obviously.
I'm going to do some more digging. If I can try and find some more concrete facts, or at least talk to someone who's mentioning this on the Facebook groups to sort of see how do they know about this, if they got any sources. If I try to get hold of any information, then over the next couple of days, and I think I'll make a video about it. So the video may be out before the podcast may be out before the video, who knows.
Oh, yeah.
So if anyone's actually got to the end of this podcast, which has been long as shit, then they may know we're talking about this now, but if not, then it'll be all surprise in the video. But yes, podcast has been long. This recording has been going over 2 hours.
Yeah.
The podcast is probably not over 2 hours. It may be borderline 2 hours, because obviously we did talk a little bit.
Should we do like 2 separate parts of it? Like,
we could do it in 2 parts, because I remember Chaosware, I know you're a friend of him as well.
Oh yeah.
He mentioned that he did mention maybe doing more short form podcasts, which I'm slightly against. I don't mind if a podcast happens to be short. I'm not going to drag it out for the sake of it. I'm not going to make an hour-long podcast out of a half-hour topic, because that would be pointless. I'd rather make a half-hour podcast. But yeah, I'm not going to not do an hour, 2 hour show, because obviously thinking about the length, it is what it is. But yeah, I think in terms of this podcast, because it is really long, we could maybe put it in 2 episodes. That could be something to consider.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think we'll figure out a point to split it. I think we'll split it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll figure out in the post-production phase. But yeah, it's been a lot longer than I anticipated it anyway. But obviously NAMM is like the Christmas for musicians. A lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah, so
we've had a lot of random. We've had a lot of pointless talk. We've talked about some pointless shit. We've talked about some random shit. But it's been fun either way. We've enjoyed it.
How podcasts work anyway. So
yeah, like I said, it is. It's a Christmassy musician. Lots of to talk about. There's a lot of stuff goes on at NAMM this week. So obviously it was inevitable that we're going to talk about it. And yeah, overall it's been fun, and obviously up soon we've got some interviews coming up, hopefully soon. Need to arrange them, which should be fun. We've got Aaron from the band Bittersweet Blasphemy, a very small band here in Glasgow, England. Glasgow, or Glasgow as a lot of American people say. His band's releasing a new EP in March 16th. They're releasing a new EP. They've just released a single from it, so hopefully we'll play that on the podcast and we'll give him an interview. He's a good friend of mine. Huge gear nerd, plays a lot of custom shop stuff. Seems we've been talking about custom shop stuff this episode. He plays a lot of custom shops from like Schecter. He owns a Schecter custom shop, which he loves to tell people that he plays a £3,000 Schecter Masterworks guitar, which fair enough he does. However, he got it for £700 ex demo. So
okay.
Doesn't tell people that one. No, I just want to let people know that one. It's every time I see it, I always makes me laugh. It's not ex demo actually. Apparently, a dude ordered it from Guitar from Schecter. He placed the order, custom specs, blah blah blah, got it all made, paid the deposit for it and never came to get it. So whether his financial situation changed, who knows, but it was on the Guitar website for a long time, for about £1,300. Obviously they were stuck with this guitar, one of a kind, custom spec guitar. They were stuck with it, couldn't shift it at all. It was on the website for about £1,300, £1,500 for a long time. And it must have been in the store, his local store, and he managed to wrangle a deal and get it for about £700.
Yeah, I'd love to hear this story.
Custom shop. I bet he won't tell us it. He won't tell us it. He tells everyone online it's free. I pay £3,000 Schecter Masterworks guitar. Yeah, but you paid that phone prices for it, mate. So I'm gonna try and get him to tell this story. See if he will. Just out of curiosity, he won't hear this podcast. So I'm gonna see out of curiosity whether he actually tell the story or not, or whether he'll hide the fact it is what it is. But either way, it's a sweet ass guitar. It's gorgeous. One of those nice, beautiful guitars I've ever seen. He also plays a Parker Fly as well. Very nice guitar. He plays a lot of high-end guitars. He got a custom shop guitar from a luthier. I think it was in Wales. I think he's passed away. It was like an 83 or something like that. He got hold of that recently, like a one-of-a-kind custom type of guitar. Yeah, he's very into his gear. And he's the guy I was saying was a very big Orange nerd as well. He plays Orange guitars, Orange amps. But yeah, he's a huge gear nerd, so it should be a fun interview to do. It's pretty much going to be like this. We're just going to talk gear. Just nerd out. Just nerd out about gear.
2 hours of gear talk.
Probably. But we'll talk about his band. Obviously, we'll plug his EP because we haven't got much of an audience. But obviously, if we can plug his EP and get him a listen, a download, anything like that, it's going to be worth it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We've got Crimson Studios, Ryan from Crimson Studios. He's a parody, satire type of news channel here on YouTube. He's one of the best creators, I think, in my opinion, that is going around at the minute. He's absolutely fantastic. He's coming on the show in the very near future. He does short form 2-minute sort of news things about topics of the week sort of thing. Editing skills absolutely on point. He's a great dude, full of energy, very, very positive. And yeah, looking forward to getting him on the channel, on the podcast as well. Should be a lot of fun. And obviously we've got Clark After Dark as well. Our friend is going to talk gear, talk about whatever, talk about being a small YouTuber and the pros and cons or the struggles of being a small channel.
And Apocalypse 2.0.
Exactly, we're going to talk about all that stuff with him. Obviously we can get Linus and Nate on the podcast anytime if we want to talk about anything with her. She's always down for that. So we've got a few guests in the works. We've got a few people we still need to ask and a few people we still need to confirm. But yeah, hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll start getting some more interviews set up for the show. And it should be a lot of fun. But yeah, we've got a lot of podcasts in mind. It's only the start of it. This is episode 2 or episode 3, depending how we've done it. Probably going to be a 2-part of this episode because it was long as shit. And yeah, we'll split it up and we'll release it within like 2 days of each or something like that. We'll do it quite quick in succession. But yeah, overall, it's should be a lot of fun. We've got lots of coming up on the podcast. And obviously check back to our channels because we're always doing new content. And like I said, this episode is sponsored by Orange Amps. And sometime in the near future, there'll be Orange reviews on my channel too, so make sure you go and check them out because they're going to be glorious. I cannot wait.
Oh, yeah.
Cannot wait for that one. But yeah, I think that's probably wraps up the episode. I think we've talked long enough, and people probably want to go and do something else with their lives rather than listen to us. So I think we'll wrap things up here.
Like right now, so.
Oh, definitely, and I need to go and get shit done. But yeah, we've been going for far too long now. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, without further ado, I think that will wrap up the podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening, and yeah, see you in the next.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.
I'm kind of used to say see you in the next video, but definitely not in that case.
Yeah, we'll see you guys again soon.
We'll talk to you in the next video. Yeah,
we'll talk to you guys very, very soon in the next episode of the Miscast podcast.
Yeah.
Alright everybody, it's time to exit stage left and head over to the next town. I want to give a huge thanks to Orange Amps and the brand new Brent Hines Terra Signature Amp for sponsoring these 2 episodes, the Winter NAMM episodes of the Miscast podcast. Huge shout out to them, huge thank you for supporting the podcast, huge thank you for shipping the gear, because I'm going to be reviewing these amps on my channel very, very soon. So thank you Orange for that. Make sure you go and check them out at orangeamps.com for more information and find your local dealer. Now I just want to say me and Dan really enjoyed recording this podcast. It turned into a 2-parter. That wasn't our intention, but we had a lot of fun doing it nonetheless. We hope you guys have had just as much fun listening to it. And if you want to keep up with all things Miscast, you can follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram.com/Miscast podcast, Twitter.com/Miscast_podcast. You can follow us on Twitch and SoundCloud /Miscast podcast. You can subscribe on YouTube and also be sure to subscribe and download and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. And if you want to become a super fan of the podcast, you can head over to patreon.com and pledge just $1 a month. That helps us keep it on the air for free. It helps us get better equipment and get more guests into the show. And you get some perks such as ad-free viewing, so you don't have to listen to the sponsorships during the podcast. You also get live hangouts amongst many, many other perks too. So if you want to go and help out the podcast, you want to support it, head on over there. And overall, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the podcast so far. It's still in its very early stages of the podcast. We're just getting our footing in the podcast world, and we hope you guys have been enjoying these episodes. We've got so much more planned, and we can't wait for you guys to listen to them. Right, on that note, that is the end of the show, guys. My name is Doodles. My co-host has been Daniel Leonov. We thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
You have been listening to a Miscast production. Subscribe and download new episodes on iTunes, and listen on SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitch, Stitcher and more, or become a superfan on Patreon. Just search for the Miscast podcast.